Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Mike Anderson Seafood, Wesley at Nicholson, the Tuesday edition Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff, Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro, Jordan Kinchin's back in the studio. Glad you're with us here today. Randy McKay will be with us, riding a pretty good run last week on his hockey picks. Wes Reynolds be with us today, running a pretty good hot streak off his golf picks last week. Scott Rabelais with us. Well, he's just hot. Running golf. Let's see, gymnastics, softball, etc. It was at the LSU baseball game last night. We'll talk to Scott, and we'll have our consensus golf picks later on in the show. Jimmy, good morning.
Yeah, I'd say Randy McKay was hot, 4-1 with a brutal beat, getting scored in the last minute or so, and a shorthanded goal in overtime. So 4-1 with a nice dog in there as well. Wes Reynolds with an outright, Cam Young at 13-1, and a very nice Scheffler Young top 10 parlay at pay plus $1.80. So yes, indeed. So heating up. So get Consensus Golf Report, 12:30 today, brought to you by Dana Brown, the offices of O.C. Brown.
We warm up as the weather warms up.
Is that right?
Sounds good.
Yes. It works for me.
I'm hoping.
Yes.
Yesterday, this kind of happened as we were going on the air, and kind of more details of the story as we were on the air. So we didn't get a chance to fully address it yesterday, but we will now, which is the national podcast from CBS Sports Inside College Basketball that had Will Wade on as a guest. What he said on this thing was what we have suspected all along, but having him actually put voice to it was, I think, reassuring to some Tiger fans. We didn't have a whole lot of doubt that Wade understands roster building as well as anybody, and he certainly understands roster building in this era as well as anybody. And the fact that a lot of this wasn't public, we knew he was spending an extensive amount of time overseas. And, well, we got some voice to that yesterday. Wade saying, we've got 7 or 8 guys, so we're not too worried. We've got some good guys, and for a bunch of reasons, we're not announcing things. Among those, negotiations with clubs in Europe.
Which was my information. It's very it corresponds with the information we were getting exactly. So he has his reasons.
There's also waivers that are in process I'm expecting a big information dump when they've got it all figured out. There's still some action going on over in Europe that they've got to finish up. I'm expecting a big news dump at some point where it's like, okay, these 7 or 8 guys we got, this is who they are.
But it's also like they haven't missed on some guys too.
Sure, sure.
They got outbid, whatever you want to call it.
Yes,
so,
that's the nature of this.
Sure.
You're going to get outbid on some guys.
There's never been a recruiting class that you got everybody.
Got everybody that you wanted, that money or otherwise. We did get one name, though, today that was broken out by Draft Express, and that is 23-year-old Marcio Santos from Brazil. 6'9", 250 pounds, played for a professional team in Tel Aviv, 17 games, averaged about 8 points, 4 rebounds, and 0.7 blocks per game. The most impressive numbers to me about Santos is that he was a 52.7% shooter from the field and a 40% shooter from three-point range. That will tell you at 6'9". Yeah. This is in the 37 games he played for, I'm going to say, Maccabi Tel Aviv. He shot 40% from the three-point line. Now, he didn't shoot a ton of them. It was about 1.5 a game, but he's an 80% shooter from the free throw line. That plus 4 rebounds a game, Jimmy, tells me that this is a face-to-the-basket big at 6'9", positionless, if you prefer that term. and he's athletic. We've seen some of the highlight film dunks that he's got. 23 years old. He's been playing professional basketball in Israel. He can shoot. This is the kind of player that can help you. If you're not impressed by 7 or 8 points a game, I suspect that number will go up as his minutes go up. He was not a heavy minutes guy for Tel Aviv.
International, multi-dimensional player.
Yes.
And that's 6'6" to 6'9", 6'10",
Yep.
right type of range, yes.
So
Face to the basket player. So I don't know if 6'9" is a big. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen
medium.
it. No, but I mean, it's that's how they are schooled. They've been doing it for quite some time. They're face the basket, 6'6" to 6'10". I'm sorry, 7 feet guy, 7 players. So
I suspect you're going to see more players like this when we get the entire.
We had one for New Jersey who was a face the basket player, but we tried to back him up in his year here. Is Nas.
Yeah.
Nas can shoot, but Nas is definitely more comfortable facing the basket. You don't remember sometimes when he was down there when he was just, I don't know how much he was just pouting about it, but he was not good with his back to the basket. Not as good as you would think because of his size. He was so physically mature for that age.
He's about 6'11", 6'10" or so. It was
6'9", maybe
you got
6'10".
You got a size advantage. Go down, but he could shoot. He could shoot.
But the comfort level.
He was way more comfortable outside.
Yeah, Nas not European. He's not European. No. New Jersey. No. 6'9" is what he's officially
6'9",
listed.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to see even Diabate, who they got from Kentucky, is a 6'7" ish player, who is you want to call him a wing defender. He certainly did that very well. Tough players. What I'm expecting from Wade is a lot of these guys that are hardened, seasoned players, okay, wherever they played. Diabate played at Alabama and Kentucky. The Santos played professional basketball. He played a little bit in the summer league, the NBA summer league a couple of years ago. These are not 18-year-old freshmen that are coming in expected, and I expect we'll see more of that. The other thing he said about the roster, and maybe this seems obvious, but again, to hear him say it, he said, look, we're going to spend some money on about 7 or 8 players. But one of the things we learned at NC State last year is we spent money on 11 players. Well, the back end of these guys, it's kind of wasted money because you're going to have about a 7 or 8 man rotation, maybe 9. And then if you spend a lot of money on guys 10, 11, and 12, well, you're not going to get your money's worth out of it. You'd rather put more money into the top 8, round out the roster with still scholarship guys.
He said specifically in that article. He said, didn't he say they paid 1 through 11?
Yeah, 1 through 11. 1 through 11. So now it's going to be closer to 1 to 7 or 8. And 9 through 13 is going to be scholarship players, but there's not going to be a whole lot of money there. And you say, well, what happens if you have injuries? Well, if you have 4 or 5 injuries and you get that deep into it, you're probably screwed anyway. So put your money where it can do the most good. It's allocation of resources, Jimmy. And not for nothing, but it's not terribly unlike what a lot of the NBA teams have done. Not the Thunder, because they're in a class all themselves, what Presti's done. But you think about the big threes that have been put together. Teams that have put almost all of their money in their top 3 players and rounded it out with either minimum salary guys or rookie scale guys, free agents, whatever that they can find. This is not quite that extreme. He's not putting all of his money into 3 or 4 players. It's more like 7 or 8. But it's resource allocation. I think that this is probably the best way to go, because if you put money into players 10 and 12, you got a hard time getting your money out of them.
Keep saying 12. He said 9. He said specifically 11. So 9, 10, and 11 last year.
But you got 13 scholarship guys on the bench is why I brought that.
Well, he's going to give those scholarships. They can use them.
That's what I just said. He's going to bring them in as scholarship players. They're just not going to have a whole lot of money in them. They're still going to get a scholarship. They're still going to get the cost of college. There's still some money there, but there's not maybe NIL money like it's going into the top 7 or 8.
Do you think they're getting any money?
Well,
why would you?
You get the full. You get the money that goes along with your scholarship, okay? And there's the full cost of college admission. Remember the whole thing with UConn years ago where so there's some money, but it's not NIL money. Okay, there's maybe a little bit of revenue share, but it's not a lot of money. No, your big money is going into your top 7 or 8 guys.
The value of a college scholarship is pretty good. The training, the facilities, the housing, So
how many?
How many are going to class? I don't know.
We think of that as valuable, and I think certainly that it is. But when you're recruiting high-level basketball players, they don't care what.
No. That's nothing.
Where's my money? Wade also added another member of his staff today, Jay Smith, as director of player development. Smith has spent almost his entire career in the state of Michigan. He was most recently at Eastern Michigan as their director of player development. Before that, he spent 5 years at the University of Michigan as their director of player development and personnel. I think he's coached at pretty much every college in Michigan. He's coached at Detroit. He's coached at Central Michigan. He's coached at Kalamazoo. So he's spent most of his life in Michigan, but he is joining Wade's staff as their director of player development. So a little bit of information on the basketball front from Will Wade. And the other thing is, real quick, they're probably not going to have this roster completely finished probably until June. There's some of this stuff that's going to drag on a little bit. But all that's dragging on is the public announcement of it. I think that's the biggest thing I took out of it is what we were talking about. That's what hearing it from Wade, I think, reassured some people yesterday.
Absolutely. But we have been kind of given that information as well.
Yeah.
But some of that information is coming from some people that are Wade supporters. So that has to be taken into context as well. There's also Darian Williams, and he got a little bit hot at a media availability last year in Raleigh when they asked him about Darian Williams and his struggles. And Darian Williams in the tournament was really, really playing at a high level for Texas Tech. Again, they were a heartbreaker in the Elite Eight to the eventual national champion, Florida. They should have won that game. And he and Toppin were just a 1-2 monster. And, his numbers at, 15 points a game, all of them were just slightly down. His points per game were down just 1.1 a game. Blocks were down slightly. The steals slightly. So rebounds slightly. Now his 3-point percentage went up considerably from 34% to 40.4%. But they were just you expect him to just take that next step. And what's funny is when it got to the ACC tournament and the play-in game against Texas, he was one of the better. He kind of turned it on again. But, there was a lot of money dumped into him. And he didn't take that next step like a lot of players do when you bring them over. So, they're hoping this Brazilian player, his numbers are better than that at LSU. Did 7.9 a game, 4 rebounds, So
the final thing that Wade said, he is not backing down from expectations. He said, when our roster finishes out how I need it to, and everybody's eligible and everybody goes out, we'll have a top 15 team in the country.
Woo!
That's quote.
Okay, I missed that. Okay, Willie.
That ain't shying away from any expectations. When you go out there and you got one player publicly committing, you say, I got a top 15 roster. Bravado, confidence, pick your favorite word, but he's not shying down from – he's not trying to squeeze into the NIT with this.
No, LSU, I'll maintain, and I'll maintain that number is minus 180 is what I'm thinking.
To make the tournament?
To make the tournament, yes. We'll see. We're far from any sports books releasing any type of numbers like that. You have some national championship numbers, those out there. But this is a team, is a program that he expects. This time last year, they were very confident. He didn't say top 15, but he did think he said they were going to the tournament. They went. So it was kind of maybe it was a little bit closer call. One of the last few ins that they had to play the play-in, one of the last few at larges in. But no, he's not backing down. And that is, to make the tournament or not. I mean, man, let's just start with that, huh? And I think just like his first year, I don't think it's going to be this late in the process every year.
No, I don't
LSU
either.
in the roster
I don't
building,
either.
in the publicity of it.
Correct. I agree with that. And I'm going to go back on one of those lines that I used when he got here the first time. I said, hey, you win this many games, it'll be twice as many. If he's twice as wrong, Jimmy, and they only have a top 30 team, I will consider it a huge success for year one.
They were kind of that this year. They're right around top 30. RPI, NC State.
Oh, NC State. I was watching.
No, dude. Come on, man.
Okay.
I've been me.
I thought you.
I mean, the guy would refuse to talk about that garbage for the last 2.5 years.
I thought you were setting up a joke. I got it now. At NC State, yes. If they are anywhere in the vicinity of a
Tequila and Cinco, huh?
Well, you should talk. But no, I thought you were setting up a joke. Yes, anything top 30 to 35 in the RPIs, which will get you an at-large berth to the NCAA tournament. First season's a huge win.
Get to the tournament. So he is more confident than most, but we don't know all the details of his roster. We know that he's got some guys. We know that they're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
We know that this is his strength. Now does he get the most out of his roster all the time? Well, no, that's been iffy. Sometimes, and sometimes he has. I mean, that year in the SEC was really good. That they won outright. It was a really good. They
won all the road games.
The SEC and the SEC, all of them. How about
all
that?
the road games.
And the SEC did damage and was so close to doing more damage in the NCAA tournament. That was kind of really a breakthrough year for the SEC, and now it's just kind of commonplace. We're live over here at Mike Anderson, so on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday, so they were doing Cinco de Mayo over here yesterday, so a lot of crawfish queso and some other stuff, and some margaritas. We got margaritas every day over here. You can get them out the machine, or Shane or one of the great bartenders over here can do them over on the rocks, so that's always fun. And we still have crawfish. Through Mother's Day, so which is
Sunday.
So it's the stretch run to get some of the crawfish over here at Mike Anderson. So Mother's Day, if you did not make your reservations already, you are shut out. But there is walk-in space available all throughout the weekend. Keep in mind, Monday through Thursday, we close from 2 to 5, in between the lunch and the dinner shift. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're open all the way through. So when there's no baseball in town, you can get in and do maybe Mother's Day festivity on a Saturday, on a Friday, whatever it is. So, we do have some flexibility over here for this Mother's Day weekend at Mike Anderson's on Lee, just off of Nicholson.
Live at Mike Anderson's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. New Handycast up on YouTube. It's brought to you by Supreme Rice. Celebrating 90 years in business here in 2026. Supporting our Louisiana farmers. Go to SupremeRice.com. American Football Coaches Association yesterday made their recommended changes to the college football calendar. Here's what you need to know. Last week, the AFCA proposed that they are in favor of starting the season in week 0. That's something that we have been big proponents of here for, quite a while. They want to end the season earlier. I'm also for that. This year and next year, the title games are scheduled for January 24th and January the 25th. The transfer portal, January 2nd to January 16th, is the primary motivator for them wanting to end the season earlier. But the other big thing, and they haven't said this out loud, although it's certainly been bandied about, Jimmy, is they want to eliminate the conference championship games, and they want to eliminate a second bye week so that they can end this season earlier. They're going to keep Army and Navy in their window, but they want to be able to play the exclusive window, but they want to be able to play other postseason games on the same day. and then they want to reduce the minimum number of days between games to no fewer than 6. That really hasn't been an issue in the Southeastern Conference.
What day is that Army-Navy game? So that's usually like December 12th?
It's the first Saturday in
no, not the first. That's Championship Saturday.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Army-Navy's the next week.
Second Saturday.
So this year the Saturday is the 5th. So you're eliminating conference championship games. You play then, and you're going to play the next week? That's Army-Navy.
Well, you're going to play. They want to play playoff games on the day of Army-Navy, but not in the same window. Okay, so you put Army-Navy.
I get that. It's a standalone. I get that. But you're not going to use the championship week to play? You got 8 games, or you're going to stagger them over 2 weekends?
Yeah. Now, if you go to a 2014 playoff,
I understand. You got 8 games.
Yeah.
9 through 24.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're going to play 4 and 4, or why wouldn't you just play that weekend? They
weren't specific as to exactly how all of this plays out. The only thing I had,
they said they definitely want to identify and play some on there, but they want to eliminate. So it's either play 8 games along with Army-Navy on the 11th, 12th. You could play one on Thursday night. I mean, you could do that. I mean, you can if you want, but I mean, you're not going to utilize the conference championship week while still eliminating them.
And now that I'm looking at this, that may be.
Or you're going to play 4 and 4.
It wouldn't be a regular season week. Like I said, they
weren't. You want to play your Friday night game and a triple header Saturday both weekends?
I don't know. I really don't. I read this thing 3 times, and I'm trying to get the pecking order.
You have to be standalone
of the week.
You understand? You have to play on both. So you're going to break up. That's fine with me. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just trying to provide some clarity here.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you're going to take 2 weeks off. I mean, you're going to play on January. New Year's is a Friday, so you're going to play. They said they want to have the quarters ready for January 1st?
Well, that's
okay. Well, you got to get another group in. You got to get it 1 week after the 12th, or 2 weeks, and then play. You're going to play back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. See, this is where it gets tricky because they didn't put out an actual calendar
this is the calendar.
Well, without knowing whether it's 16 or 24 teams, they're
going 24.
I think so too.
Okay, the most presidents, I mean, if not all, are going to take the recommendation of their coaches. Are they not?
As long as it doesn't cost them money, yes.
Well, the SEC is going to cost them money, but the SEC's outnumbered here.
For the SEC to
give everybody against the SEC?
For everybody to give up, for the SEC to give up the cash cow that is the SEC championship game, they're going to have to be compensated through the playoff revenue. I feel very confident about that, and I think it will.
What is at stake besides the SEC? Listen, we've both been there. It's had an amazing run.
Yes.
It's a great atmosphere. But it's not what it used to be.
It's not.
It
is still a cash cow. And
is it? But even when it's losing its appeal, when there's no consequence for the game, both teams are in.
The TV networks are still paying for it. They're still selling.
Are they going to still pay premium rate?
Not probably.
When it doesn't mean anything.
Very long. Not in the very far future, but in the immediate future, Sankey's going to go in there and say they won't tell you exactly what they got in the game, but the estimates are somewhere around $75 million. Okay. He's not going to eschew $75 million unless he knows where he's going to make it up on the back end. They'll get to that, though. I'm confident that they will.
They're losing out on other things, including the number of teams that they recommended.
Big Ten's making more money than them.
I got you, but will he? You're saying he's not going to give it up? Sounds like the coaches want to give it up.
And you're saying they're going to follow the recommendation of their coaches only if it's not going to cost them money.
What is going to cost them money?
I think that they're going to make it up. I think that they will have to come to the SEC with a model that says take the championship game out, and we will replace that with a 2014 playoff, and then your piece of the pie is this rather than what you're getting now, and that will be more.
So a guarantee?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they're going to have to be guaranteed. they're going to get their AQs in this 24. That's kind of the whole deal. They want a certain amount of automatic qualifiers, and there will be a certain amount of money guaranteed to the Big Ten and the SEC. Yeah, I think that's how this shakes out. The only thing
but they're still gonna lose money if they eliminate that game.
That money will go away but it will be replaced with playoff money.
I understand, but they could have had both. They used to have both.
And now they're not going to be able to have both if you expand the playoff. The only thing I don't like about this is they are eliminating one of the bye weeks during the regular season. I kind of like the idea for the teams of having 2 bye weeks, and for us personally, but who cares about us?
They're not going to start on week 0?
They are going to start on week 0, but that's what I'm telling you.
And they're still going to have 1 bye.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the only part of this that I'm not wild about.
So they're going to – well, then that's what it is. They're going to have a –
you're going to have 13 weeks to play 12 games.
Instead of Thanksgiving weekend, they're going to end the season weekend before?
No. They're going to end it the same weekend. You're going to play week 0, and you're going to have 13 weeks most years.
Well, you have 2
I don't have it in front of me, Jamie. I can't do all of the math, but this is what they're proposing.
Well, I have it in front of me.
Okay, well.
And if you're starting on the 29th.
This year, yeah.
Okay, which is, starting on the 29th, that's week 0. The next week is Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
So that's 1 in August.
Which is when most of them
4,
are playing.
That's 5, that's 10 in October, and that's 14 playing dates. That's room for 2 buys ending on Thanksgiving week.
But you don't get that many. Do you get that many Saturdays every year? Or is this one of those years where you get an extra Saturday?
This year you do.
Okay, this year you do.
Most years you do. Think about it, Charlie. We've always done this. You've always started on Labor Day, and you end on Thanksgiving weekend.
Yes.
Okay. And you have how many buys?
Well, you have 1 5 out of 7 years and 2.
So if you bump
2
it
out
up,
of 7 years.
You gain an extra playing day. You have room for 2 buys.
Not every year. Not every year.
Okay.
There's not that many Saturdays. But, yes, sometimes, yes, you do. Remember,
most of the time. How many? You're starting on Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
You're ending on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You have at least 1 buy. You always had.
Yes.
Okay, so you're adding a week. That's 2 buys.
If you get another Saturday in that window, yes, you have 2 buys. And some of the years we've had that. We had it last year.
So how are they saying you only have 1 buy?
Some of those years you don't have enough
Well,
Saturdays.
that's not most of the year. We've done this forever, where you started on Labor Day weekend and you end on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And you have a bye.
You have at least 1 buy every year. They want to keep it at 1 buy. Does that mean that they want to push – without a playoff schedule, this is really hard to do.
My point is, I get it. They agreed on some things, but there's some lack of clarity if you just look at the damn calendar. And this is the whole point of it, to get the calendar
look
right.
Look at the 27 calendar, because that's when they want to. That's when they want to do this. That might be a little bit easier.
Okay.
Do that during the break. We got to take a break.
I mean, I hate to confuse you, but I mean,
the reason I'm confused is because I don't have a playoff schedule in front of me. Without a playoff schedule, it becomes really hard to lay it out from week 0 all the way to January.
But they want to do the quarterfinals on New Year's Day.
Well, that's the way they've done it in the past. I'm not saying that it has to be done that way in the future. You could have the quarterfinals the week before Christmas.
To get it done, you're going to have to come back the next week.
You could have the quarterfinals the week before Christmas, skip Christmas week, and have the semifinals on New Year's Day, and the championship game on, say, January 10th.
So you got your 2 games. That's what they've done sometimes. But you got garbage the other games, because you got 24 teams now. You don't have your typical,
Yes, I understand that. Again, without a playoff schedule,
there's a lot more to discuss.
There is. We're brought to you by the Thibodeau Store and the Pierre Port Store. Mother's Day gifts. We got just a few days left before Mother's Day. Get her some custom Cypress furniture, benches, chairs, rockers, gliders, all of that available at the Thibodeau Store, 900 St. Patrick Highway. Also outdoor patio furniture, lots of plants, lots of greenery that you can get for Mom. And if you're sprucing up your property, lawn and garden tools, power tools that are available right now, outdoor cooking equipment at thethibodeaustore.com. Open now in LaRose and Lockport, in addition to Pierreport and Thibodaux. Lumber delivery available from Lockport and from Pierreport. So if you're doing some construction on your property, all of your building equipment can be taken from the Thibodaux Store. thethibodeaustore.com. Again, open daily until 5:30 p.m. Live at lunch from Mike Anderson's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Uh-oh, they let the big dog out.
Boom! Out of nowhere.
It's time for the big dog, Randy McKay, with his best picks.
Before we get to Randy, by the way, Charlie, the calendar review, again, same thing, 2028, 2029. Also, if you start Labor Day and end on Thanksgiving, that's 13 playing Saturdays. So maybe they're not going to play on week 0. There's some clarity. And I love the quote that you finally added on it. It's tricky to fit them all in.
Yes, that's
really
tricky. Yes.
Yes.
This is not easy to lay out. Yeah.
Yeah. So the calendar, they got a lot of things to figure out. So anyway, let's go to Randy McKay, the big dog. Boy, he was on fire. 4-1 in his NHL playoff picks, the Stanley Cup playoff picks, but. Man, and one was a tough one, so we don't want to be that guy where you give us 4-1 and dwell on that one. But you were that close to sweeping the board. Job well done, big dog.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, tough to lose that one, and we'll move on to the next and actually heading to the Golden Knights game tonight.
Oh, really? What do you make of their run right now? I mean, are they just flat out lucky right now?
They're being outplayed a little bit, but they do have the intangibles, experience, and some guys that get the job done even though they're not controlling the puck. So they're forcing teams to the outside, and so far Carter Hart's been holding up, but he had a few bad games too as well. But last few games seems like he's coming on a little bit, so they might be able to hang in there, but it still looks, much like the basketball, looks like the OKC Invitational. Right now, the NHL is looking like the Colorado Avalanche Invitational, so we'll see what happens there.
You're going to put an OKC Invitational, huh? You think so?
SGA had his fewest points in over a year last night. He hadn't scored less than 20 in a game. He had that night last night.
Shane making all kinds of noise behind the bar.
And they still won by 18.
That was Shane. So anyway, it just the coaching change. Now some people are reporting that some of the players said it was hell playing for the previous coach. So they finished so strong during the regular season. But, just – what you were talking about it last week. You said Utah was a faster skating team. It seems that way in this matchup as well, but they are just finding ways to win. The other thing on the NHL playoffs, I think the Oilers set a record back in their heyday of winning their first 9 playoff games. So, to start, we got 2 teams making a run at it right now, huh, Randy? The Avalanche and Carolina.
Yeah, they definitely are, and they're definitely looking like, tough teams to beat in different ways. Carolina doesn't give up any high-quality chances, and the Avalanche are totally different, where they jump on any kind of little mistake, and then the puck's in the back of the net, like Minnesota's finding out quickly.
Yeah, they trounced me. I was a little surprised with that. Does that surprise you, the outcomes of the first couple of Colorado-Minnesota games?
Yeah, definitely. I gave out Minnesota last night. I figured that was their, spot to get the falling knife there, and spot with the goalie change as well. I kind of like that change, and that didn't work out as well. And the Colorado jumped all over them again, got that lead, and just didn't look back.
Did you watch the Derby Saturday?
I caught a little glimpse of it. I was out running around and doing things, but it was exciting. Derby, big comeback from that horse that hardly anybody gave out. So I had the 7 and the 10 from recommendations, and that didn't work out. I lost a little bit of money on it.
Gotcha. 2 games tonight on the ice, 6:10 and 8:40 starts in Buffalo and in Vegas. You will be at Vegas, and then tomorrow night in Philadelphia and Minnesota. Both teams host those 2 teams we're talking about going against those juggernauts right now. Those teams that have not lost so far. Both are 6-0 in the playoffs against Carolina and Colorado. So any selections for tonight and tomorrow?
Yeah, I just made a first period under bet here in this Montreal Buffalo game. The old feeling out first game process here. Both goalies playing extremely well, especially Dubas for for the Canadians there. He pretty much was the MVP of that series. And then Alex Lyon comes in for Buffalo. And a little trivia about him: he's from Baudette, Minnesota. You know, you guys always like this trivia I give you up in the International Falls area. Known for the coldest place in the United States. Do you want to come visit there, Jimmy? It sounds like a fun place to do your show.
No, Randy, no. We value your coldest crap trivia, okay? But I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass on that, man. I'm cold in the restaurants now, man. I mean, I'm thin in blood. I'm getting so damn old. So anyway,
yeah. So like how these two teams are playing here, so rather than doing the whole total game under, I'm going to go the first period under, and then the game I'm going to, the Anaheim Ducks, was on them in the first game and lost, unfortunately, and I just think it's too much of a price here. I don't think the Knights should be more than a 6-5 favorite at best here, so taking some value here, getting plus 140 or better, again with the Anaheim Ducks, and I'll kind of be holding my breath there in Derek Stevens' suite as I still have the Vegas Golden Knight sweater on watching the game.
Boy, you're going in disguise with Derek Stevens in his suite. Drink all his booze, eat all his food, and quietly pull for the other side. I mean, but I know he's Derek understands there's going to be maybe a guy or two in the suite that is going to have some tickets on Anaheim. So Anaheim is plus 140 at our local books here at the Queen and Bally's. So that is available at your DraftKings outlets here in Baton Rouge, and also first period under 1.5. So that's the number, under 1.5. It's minus 115 either way, over or under for the Buffalo-Montreal game. So a couple of selections tonight. You'll try and beat those runaway trains tomorrow night?
Yeah, the Canes look like a pretty good, look like they're going to extend this. The young Flyers, this has got to be their game. So, as of right now, it's a pass, but maybe looking in the Flyers' direction here to get one on the board. But don't know if I'm going to get in front of that one yet.
So Flyers a pass kind of deal?
Yeah.
Okay. And then in Minnesota?
Yeah. Game 3 going back to Minnesota here, do or die effort here. No play yet for me in that because they don't have I don't even have a line yet on that game. So
it's minus 130 plus 110 is what we have at the DraftKings outlet.
Okay, I did not have one here. So that's interesting. And not getting as much value with the Wild at home, but they've been a good bounce back team. But again, you're getting in front of freight trains there, and that gets be a little scary.
Gotcha. Well, Colorado has been. If you had to say which of those two is got a shot at that 9 in a row?
Yeah, I'd definitely go with the Colorado side, even though that the Canes are playing the lesser opponent here. I'd definitely go with Colorado, and they're going to, they'll probably go in the next series against either the Knights or Anaheim. Is a pretty big favorite again, so
I see.
It might be another big run for them as well.
So you think the path the next round is I guess the Golden Knights just getting outskated. That is a big number against Anaheim. But Anaheim came. Why are they performing so much better than what they did when to end the season? Would they lose 8 of their last 9? Was it going into postseason?
Yeah, it kind of looked like Quenneville kind of mentioned that as well. The old fiery coach there, Quenneville, he coached Anaheim, and he kind of mentioned that as well, and just said they needed to recharge the batteries there, and then they got it going for the playoffs, and got their mojo going again where they're scoring them goals, and they got a lot of good young talent on that team, and a couple good veterans as well. So that team has a good mix to it. So I see some bounce back here with this team in this game.
All right, so what time you heading out, huh? You got Derek providing transportation as well for you?
Oh yeah, we'll be in the limo down there with the whole crew. They take us down in the big, one of his big stretchers down there to the all the people in the suite, and then Derek sits down on the ice there. So it's usually a pretty fun and exciting thing. Last year I went to the opening round against Edmonton, and of course it's always a good game. And then I think I went to Minnesota too, and then that was the one we lost the puck line on the last second shot or whatever when I went across the line. That was number one.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Enjoy it, Randy. You'll have fun tonight, man. That sounds like a great time, man. Even humans, even humans had something positive to say about the experience at a recent Knights playoff game. And when you get to give something cheerful out of him, that's a big deal. So you know that we're gonna make a mental note of that. Enjoy.
I just talked with him. He's out getting a massage here in Maui or Hawaii or whatever, which one he went to this time. And should be back in town coming up here this week. So, yeah, he's enjoyed himself.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Randy. Follow Randy on Twitter at RR39. Again, tonight, he's got first period under in Anaheim plus 140. Don't forget our friends at Go Chevrolet. Go Chevrolet in La Place. I don't just talk about the great vehicles at Go Chevrolet. I drive a Chevy Tahoe that I got from Mr. Lee Carney over at Go Chevrolet. Lee Carney and Nick Rishaw are doing a great job at the Go Automobile Dealership family. Go Chevrolet in La Place. Go Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Plaquemine, Go Chevrolet West in Plaquemine, and Go Ford in Waveland. So mention my name, Jimmy Ott, for VIP pricing. Great folks over at the Go Automobile Dealership family.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Ted Turner passed away today at the age of 87, former owner of the Hawks and the Braves, responsible for a lot of people watching a lot of sports in the 80s on cable TV, and also won the America's Cup back when the America's Cup was dominated by the Americans before the Australians broke through and won one. He actually captained the America's Cup to a championship. I think it was in 1970.
Early ESPN programming.
Yeah. When you were watching it, it's 1977. I just remember Turner as a guy that brought Braves baseball and Hawks basketball a little bit, so I watched a lot of that. But this was before ESPN had games on every night. They had no contract with Major League Baseball or the NBA, and certainly not the NFL at this point. You had WGN, if you could get WGN, and you had TBS. And the Braves didn't draw great ratings, but Turner loved them, so he put them on every night. And
he used to watch Rudy Macklin play for the Hawks.
The Hawks and
Dale Murphy was a big, he was the star of the team.
Yeah.
It's funny that John Sterling passed, and you talked about he was sort of the fourth man along with Ernie Johnson Sr.,
Pete Van Wieren,
and Skip Carey. But he was that fourth guy for a little bit. He called the home run, Rick Camp, in that crazy 18th inning game against the Mets.
4th of July?
Yes.
They did the fireworks at 3 in the morning in Atlanta.
Yes.
Everybody thought that there was a thunderstorm. Ted Turner passed away at the age of 87. Scott Rabelais, when we come back here at Mike Anderson's, Wesley at Nicholson Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Enjoying the finer things in life is his forte. Let's bring in Scott Rabelais from The Advocate.
And return here at Mike Anderson Seafood. Wesley at Nicholson. Come by and see us for lunch here right in the Oyster Bar. Scott Rabelais joins us now. Scott, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, guys. I'm sitting in my car getting ready to have lunch with my mother. Mother's Day's coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for some spare change for Bryson DeChambeau to help fund his YouTube account if he has to live.
All right, I read that. I had a golf question about the Zurich. I'm going to put that off for just a sec because I want to ask you about DeChambeau. And Max, feel free to to jump in if
Max
you got
is looking at the Brazilian stats.
That's right.
And Tel Aviv.
Update at the half. The Maccabi Tel Aviv leads by 17, and Marcio Santos has 11 points in 12 minutes, 3 assists as well.
Okay, so above his average.
He's going to score a point a minute here. He's going to average 40 again next year.
Yes, indeed.
Scott, if if Live Golf doesn't survive, DeChambeau just figures he's going to play golf on Live by himself, and everybody's going to watch. I'm sure there's more to it than that. But don't you have to play against somebody for people to watch you play golf?
I mean, you remember those guys, and Chairman Fred Ridley mentioned this at this year's Masters. Remember they let those guys who do all the trick shots and everything, they let them come to the Masters. And that might have been a mistake. And Bryson was out there with them. So maybe he's going to do a bunch of exhibitions and stuff like that. But I tell you what, eventually, if he can keep winning majors, and he's won 2 U.S. Opens at this point, you're not going to qualify for majors. If you don't play tournaments and get world ranking points, which Liv finally did start to get some on a smaller basis. So Bryson's a nut. Bryson's always been a nut. This is a guy who played with a 3D printed wedge or a 5-iron at the Masters, and had the clubs all the same length, and puffed himself up like the Michelin Man for a while, and he certainly has an overinflated sense of self-worth. So good luck to you, Bryson. The PGA Tour golf will survive without you if that's what you want to do. But man, he's a great talent, and he would benefit the tour coming back. But he's a nut.
I honestly think it's better for Bryson's brand that he's not around all the time. We got a little tired of him when he was on the PGA Tour, where you saw him week to week.
I agree with that, Max.
I think you see him once every month for four months, for the majors, and it's cool, right? Like right now, I kind of laugh because he was on the White House lawn yesterday doing a push-up contest with Gary Player, a 90-year-old.
We all know people. They're better in small doses.
Could he do Scott mentioned, the Dude Perfect Bryson DeChambeau collab at Amen Corner. Maybe that's good. Maybe YouTube's fine for him. I actually think it's not a bad idea for him to just stay on YouTube and parachute in.
He has talent, and he's won 2 U.S. Opens. He could win more majors. He could get to Rory McIlroy territory with 6 right now. Nick Faldo. Phil Mickelson. That kind of range. He could do that. He could be an asset, obviously, in the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup team. He could play for the U.S. in the Olympics. I mean, yes, he can do whatever he wants, and those things would be fine. And small doses, I don't disagree. Smaller doses of Bryson are better, but I think it would be a waste of his talent, not to come back.
And I realize he's not going to star, but when they asked him about his concerns about the Liv paying out the remainder of his contract, he said, "Well, your guess is as good as mine." Well,
Steve Young.
Yeah, I mean, I'll accept any explanation for anybody that went to Liv as saying, "Look, the money was too much to pass up." I get it. Okay. When he came out yesterday and said, okay, what's best for the game of golf, and this is going to require everybody compromising a little bit, it's like, no, the PGA Tour doesn't have to compromise anymore. Liv is, you guys keep this charade up if you feel like it, and if you find somebody else to put some more money into it, good for you. But no, the PGA doesn't have to acquiesce to anything that Liv says at this point.
Scott, Max and I were having a spirited debate earlier this week about Jon Rahm and that he just ripped up the Liv courses but performed very poorly in the Masters. And that is it just not providing any type of preparation? Is it dipped that low that it's not providing or very little or nothing of impact for the majors when they come over?
I don't know if it's nothing. I mean, competition is competition, but tournament golf is different from regular golf, and playing on the Live Tour is different from playing on the PGA Tour or the DP World Tour, which he could also do. He's from Spain. I mean, the fields aren't quite as good. The competition is keen. If they had played the Bayou Oaks in New Orleans this year in June, they would have shot like 30 under. Probably to win the way they set up those courses. So. Yeah, it's not helping you for a major. It's not going to help you at Aronimink next week when the rough's going to be, 4 or 5 inches high, that sort of thing. So we'll see how they do. Terrell Hatton did well at the Masters, of course, tied for 3rd. But it seems John's game seems to have atrophied. Brooks Koepka's game has to be resharpened, and he's trying to do that. So, yeah, it's not helping at all, in my opinion.
He'd be interesting to watch if he were back on the tour full time. We'll see if that ever happens. The announcement last week, or actually, was it Friday? I think it was, or maybe it was Monday, that the 27 tour dates for the Zurich have been confirmed, and they're there in stone for 2027. Scott, we think the bigger changes are coming in 2028,
Right.
including moving all of these signature elevated events around, possibly because they're not getting everybody to all of them when they got to play 5 and 6 weeks. What did you make out of the Zurich is safe for at least one more year, but they're far from out of the woods?
Well, I guess it depends how you define out of the woods. I mean, could the tournament go away completely? I don't think that's likely. Talking to golf writers, who cover the tour golf regularly, I don't think most of them think it's going away completely. Could it go to this second track? What's going to be the AAA of the PGA Tour compared to the major leagues of the PGA Tour with the Masters, the Players, the other majors, the Memorial, the Arnie, that sort of thing. Yeah, that seems likely. But they've got a committed sponsor, through at least through 2030. They've got history. They've got a venue that, I don't know if the players are in love with TPC Louisiana. A lot of them don't like Pete Dye courses, but and they have the spot in the schedule that they want. Now, is that we're going to see Brian Rolap, the new PGA Tour CEO. He's talking about creating more scarcity, smaller fields, but with cuts and in fewer tournaments. We've already seen a couple of tournaments go away with the Hawaii swing of the tour. That's could happen. I think he's going to find it to be more difficult than he thinks it is to happen. But I think the Zurich is okay. I mean, it's kind of a a second track event right now anyway, right? I mean, they had the Fitzpatricks came, and Matt Fitzpatrick is ranked third in the world, and they won the tournament, and that was great for the Zurich. And obviously Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry won 2 years ago, and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of guys in the field you're like, you don't know who they are, and I think that already. So I think if that continued, I think you'd see a few big names, but not a whole lot. Not like you're going to see this week at the Truist in Charlotte.
I was thinking that you were going to include, when you talk about sort of the downs, some of the negatives about the Zurich was, what did they shoot on Saturday? A 54, was it?
58, I think.
50, what was it?
57.
57. I mean, how did you feel about that?
Well, that's best ball. I mean, that was pretty low, and they were playing. I want to think because of the rain. I think they were playing ball in hand.
Yeah,
too,
prefer lies. Yeah.
So that factored into it as well. You're gonna get some low scores of that. You don't get quite as low scores when it's alternate shot, which is the other two format days. So, I thought the winning score would be a little bit lower. The overall winning score would be a little bit lower, quite honestly. So, I thought it was fine.
The answer to your question: what would happen if pros ever played in a scramble?
My question?
No,
yeah,
I said,
right.
I mean, what would happen if pros played in a scramble? Well, they'd shoot 50-something, right?
Yeah, 19 under, probably.
Yeah.
You'd birdie or eagle every hole, pretty much. Scott, a quick thought about the coaches' recommendations for the college football schedule, including moving up to week 0, trying to get the season ended earlier, eliminating the championship games. I suspect that'll be Greg Sankey's biggest objection, is eliminating that cash cow for the Southeastern Conference until he's got an assurance that money will be made up somewhere else.
Yeah, we're gonna fight for it until we don't. Kind of thing. Obviously, the SEC. I've always had the impression that the SEC wants to keep their championship game going. Clearly, it's the most viable of them all. I mean, obviously, the Big Ten championship game did quite well this past year. I mean, with Indiana fans were so excited to be there, and Ohio State, of course, their fans travel so well. But the other ones, tend to suffer. My feeling is, I don't want to see. Give me more. There's still compelling games. Whether there's 30,000 or 70,000 people in the stands at these championship games, there's still compelling games. Like I think the Clemson SMU game, 2 years ago, right? They came down to a last second field goal to decide the ACC championship. that was exciting stuff. So I'm not that worried about that. I want to see them play the games, but clearly what is boiling down to, the playoff is going to expand again, which I don't know if I think it needs to expand anymore. It's clearly going to expand to 16 or 24. If they go to 24, the conference championship games are eventually going to go away. If it stays at 16, then they have a chance to keep going. But the SEC seems to be in the minority here, and though the SEC likes to think highly of itself in Bryson DeChambeau terms, they might get outvoted in this situation. It could be interesting to watch. I don't like it, but I do agree with the line of thinking that the conference championship games are on the endangered list. Yes.
Scott, enjoy lunch with Mom. Tell her Happy Mother's Day from all of us here at Live at Lunch.
Oh, you guys are the best. I sure will. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Scott Rabelais from The Advocate. Those of you that have heard me talk about our association with Red, White, and Blue, our association that provides financial assistance to military charities, in the past we established this back in 2019. We have our yearly event at BRQ the week of Veterans Day. Well, we have selected our recipient this year that we want to help out, and I had a chance to meet the members of this organization, tour their facility and what they're doing for veterans. And so we're really excited to announce our partnership for this year's event with Bornside Brotherhood. Bornside Brotherhood is an organization created by Jason and Christine Sedetall. Jason is a combat wounded veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He's the commander of the Baton Rouge chapter of the Military Order of the Purple Heart. Jason and Christine have a ranch here in Baton Rouge, and they've had some groundbreaking results with equine-based sessions for veterans that have provided much-needed relief for these people. The results have been nothing short of extraordinary. I've seen some of them, have had a chance to talk with some of them myself. They celebrate ranch days and hands-on training, equine assistance therapy that is really furthered the healing for some of these veterans. You might remember that last year we worked with Brothers and Sisters in Arms out of Leesville that had training for service dogs. Well, this is a little bit different type of therapy. It's with horses. And again, the results have been nothing short of groundbreaking. We're really excited about our partnership with Bornside Brotherhood this year, and we'd like to ask for your assistance. BornsideBrotherhood.org is the website. You can see some of the pictures and things of the therapy that goes on there here in Baton Rouge. This is for veterans. This is for combat veterans in particular. That the therapeutic value of the horses is beyond anything that I could have expected. I was blown away by their facility and the generosity of these two people, with Jason and Christine. And for Jason to head up this organization, we want to help them out because, gas prices are up, feed prices are up, all the things they need to provide this service free of charge to veterans. We're going to come in and we're going to lend a hand. And we'd, as always, like to ask for your assistance. Our event, again, will be on November the 5th at BRQ. In the meantime, BornsideBrotherhood.org for our veterans, and Jason, the commander of the Baton Rouge chapter of the Military Order of the Purple Heart. So we're looking forward to this year's event, and we're looking forward to our relationship here with Bornside Brotherhood, being able to help them out for a great cause.
Well done, Charlie.
We, Pam Sandoz, who is the head of our
computer-assisted wagering.
No. Pam Sandoz is the head of our operation at Red, White, and Blue, and she goes out in search of these charities that are providing really unique services for veterans and have a direct need. And we're not coming in with administrative fees. That's a lot of problems for some of these places, is by the time the administrative fees eat up a lot of what is donated, there's not as much left for the charity. We're not doing that, believe me. We're donating our time, we're donating our money, and the response from our audience has been phenomenal over the years with some of the organizations that we've been able to support, and this is another one right here in Baton Rouge for our veterans. So we're looking forward to this year's event. Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. From east, north to south, but we're heading west. It's Wes Reynolds from VSiN.
All right, Wes, fresh off of an outright last week, the first name that he pulled out for us was Cam Young, and gate to wire winner at 13-1.
Ding, ding,
and
ding.
Also the Scheffler Cam Young top 10 parlay that paid plus 180. Wes, to quote the great Buddy Stevens, we want another one just like that. So good job, Wes, and let's get to it and look at Quail Hollow, of course, last year's PGA. And so, am I right here? Rory McIlroy, the favorite this week. This course accounts for 30% of his tour wins. Is that accurate?
Yeah, he's actually won 4 times here at Quail Hollow for what used to be known as the Wells Fargo, now known as the Truist Championship. And he's coming back for the first time. Hadn't played since Augusta. Maybe there's a little rust, but when you've won here 4 times, you kind of feel confident in your abilities, and certainly should. And then it's his birthday week as well. So I don't know what I'm doing, not either betting him or not betting Cameron Young. Probably had the most figured out this year, but neither of those top 2 make the card, even though they're in an outright market. The top 4 are actually in an outright market at some shops this week in terms of a without, but the rightful 2 favorites, but I'm going just below them to start this week.
Who is that?
That would be Xander Schauffele, who anywhere in 10 to 12 to 1 range, depending on your store. And he's been runner-up here, actually, the last 2 times this has been held at Quail Hollow. 2023 to Rory and 2024 to Wyndham Clark. Comes in with 4 top 10s in his last 6 starts, and we've really seen kind of a clear line of separation so far this year, right, with Scotty, Rory, Fitzpatrick, Cameron Young, and then the guys below. Like, they've been the clear top 4 in whatever order you want to put them in. But Xander kind of right below, and now he's seeing all these other guys win, and this is usually the time when Xander, I think, comes to life. Despite the fact that he's a Southern California guy from San Diego, he doesn't really win out in the West Coast swing very often. And I think of his 10 PGA Tour victories, 9 of them have come in the spring or later in the season. So this is kind of when Xander comes to life a little bit, and he's had some success here, even though he doesn't have a win. I think he plays well this week, as does Ludwig Aubert. At 16 to 18 to 1 is the price on him. A lot was expected of him at Quail Hollow last year for the PGA, and then he surprisingly missed the cut on a course that I think is really ideal for him. It's a big, long course, almost 7,600 yards, where, you know, your driver is the best weapon in the bag. This is not a club down course like we talked about a few weeks ago at Harbor Town up in Hilton Head. But Ludwig, I think, really fits the profile. He's got 4 top 5s in his last 5 starts, and I think maybe gets a little benefit from skipping Doral last week. Maybe that extra week of rest does him good. He's won on big courses before. He won at Torrey Pines last year, which not exactly tree line, but, you know, the longest course on the PGA Tour. So I think he should play well this week. And then a couple of guys I did play last week that both finished top 10. I'm going to go back to Ricky Fowler in the 40th to 1 range, who T9 last week, second top 10, consecutive top 10 finish, improved his world golf ranking, so he's trying to get that U.S. Open spot. 14 years ago, actually, he won his first PGA Tour event right here at Quail Hollow. So I'm not worried that he's not up there with the Bombers. I think that he could still hit it long enough, and just seems to be playing better golf of late, as does Kurt Kitayama, who overcame a slow start last week. He was actually 66 out of 72 players after round 1 and ended up T9, 4th in ball striking on the tour, 9th in total driving, guy that hits it long, but he's been a little bit more accurate this year. So Kurt Kitayama, 50 to 1. Then we close out Nikolai Højgaard, 55 to 1. 6 weeks ago, he was second at the Houston Open. Gary Woodland kind of ran away and hid in that final round. Højgaard was second in driving distance at Doral last week and 6th for strokes gained off the tee. I think off the tee is going to really matter this week. And then around the green, of course, because these greens are a little bit tricky and complex. But I think Nikolai, this is the type of course where I think his driver is his best weapon, and I think he'll be up there on the leaderboard.
All right, so there you go. Xander, Oberg, Fowler, Charlie, he's showing a little form. Charlie used to bet him every major West for about 17 years, and he.
So did I.
I bet him to finish top 5 last week, so of course he finished top 10. Wes, you said he's not yet qualified. I know he's in the PGA Championship next week, but you said he's not yet in the U.S. Open.
Not yet, Charlie, but I think it's in like 2 weeks where they cut it off. Like you got to be in the top 60 in the official world golf rankings, and he's currently like 52nd, I believe. Adam Scott, by the way, with his finish at the Doral, pretty much locked up his spot in the U.S. Open, where you don't have to, necessarily go through that qualifying after the Memorial, where you got to do that Monday qualifying, which Cameron Young actually had to do last year.
Wes, Scheffler on baby feeding duty. Do you think this is he does? He feels it's his best, approach to perform better at the PGA following this. You think you agree as well, or should he have a tune-up this week?
No, I think he's probably ready to go, and because he's playing a lot of this schedule, because if you look at the back end of the May, that's when we have that Texas swing in Dallas and Fort Worth, and of course Scotty lives right there in Dallas and played at University of Texas, so he's going to play those events when maybe some other guys are going to take off those events. So he's got a busy schedule because he's got the Texas events, and then he's got the Memorial at the start of June, Jack Nicklaus's tournament, of course. So, it's kind of like, where do you find an off week here? And I think he went ahead and chose this one because he's got a busy schedule heading into June and into that U.S. Open.
All right, Joel Embiid has been ruled out for tonight's Game 2 at Madison Square Garden. So that boosts the line from 7.5 to 10.5. And that's the line for tonight's San Antonio, Minnesota Game 2. San Antonio in a bounce-back spot for 10.5 as well. Anything on one of these two games?
Yeah, and I did like the Sixers, and I liked them a lot at 8. Would like them more at 10.5, you would think. But Embiid, of course, being ruled out. I think maybe the way to play against the Knicks here, because I do think that there's some regression, maybe go team total under 113.5. I think there's some 112.5 out there as well. Now, that's a leap of faith, considering the Knicks have scored 403 combined in their last 3 games. But I thought that this was kind of going to be maybe a little bit of a sequel to round 1 for Philadelphia, because remember when they got blown out by 30 in Game 1, and the Celtics did what they did, their high variance from 3, and hit a lot of their threes. And then in Game 2, Philadelphia really took them apart from the get-go. Not saying that's going to happen tonight, but I do think that you're getting a little bit of regression here from the Knicks. I think the Knicks actually caught Philly at the right time because they had 1 day in between. They had just had to play a Game 7, and the Knicks were off since Thursday night when eliminated Atlanta. So probably the way to play the Knicks, if you're a little gun-shy on the spread, is maybe play that team total under at 113.5, because obviously you were taking a big-time scorer out of that lineup for Philly.
So again, it's gone from 7.5 range to 10.5 with Embiid out for that game tonight. How about tomorrow's game, Cleveland and Detroit? What did you think of last night's game as well with the big guy for Cleveland gets 3 fouls early, so Detroit was able to build that lead, and then they came all the way back from 16 down to tie it up, and in 3 straight assists, 3 straight dimes by Cunningham. One where he drives all the way to the goal, a little wraparound for a dunk to Duran. One about the elbow, he draws, kind of pump fakes like he's going to pull up for the mid-range. Another assist for a dunk, and then a long bounce pass. Beautiful positioning by Duran. 3 straight dunks, 3 straight dimes for Cunningham to pull away. But it seemed like Cleveland didn't play their best, but were hanging around.
Yeah, and I still do like Cleveland in the series, and I liked them before the series. But one thing, and you mentioned it, Jimmy, Jared Allen has got to be better. Like, he was not – it was not only the foul trouble, but he was getting kind of out – I'm making up a word here – out-physicaled by Jalen Duren. Remember, Jalen Duren kind of had an off series against Wendell Carter Jr. In round one, so he's come out with some reckless abandon, especially on the board. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley as well. They've got to be better on the board. But I think that this series is probably going the distance between the two. Because the one thing about Detroit, as great as Cunningham is, there are times where they don't get a lot of scoring, right? Like they don't get Harris and Duran, or not Harris, but Duran and Thompson and Robinson scoring like they did, right? And Cade Cunningham has to do everything, and that's why that Orlando series ended up going 7. So Detroit's going to have some problems in a couple games, though, because just that other scoring is not going to be there. So I still think Cleveland's okay, despite the fact that they did not play very well. And still, like you mentioned, we're right in the game with a couple minutes left to go.
Is Minnesota going to make it a series of it?
They'll be competitive. It might be 6. I would expect San Antonio to bounce back. It's certainly priced as such. I think Wembanyama, look, we know he can do it all, and we know he can hit threes and whatnot, but got to do a little more damage in the paint. I know Gobert's a really good defender, but you got to do a little more damage and not shoot those threes. I just think that Minnesota maybe kind of caught him off guard a little bit. I think the line is now appropriate with Ant-Man back, even though he's probably not 100%, because that line, I think, without him, assuming he wasn't going to play, was like 14, I think that I saw, and I thought that was too high, whereas clearly the Oklahoma City lines against the Lakers are appropriate, because the Lakers didn't even play that bad last night and still got taken care of just like light work by Oklahoma City. So that's probably going to be a really short series.
All right, next week, the PGA, next major on the schedule for this year's PGA Tour. Follow Wes on Twitter at WesReynolds1. Hit that outright last week on Cam Young, 8 to wire. Let's see if he can do a repeat of performance this week. Wes, great stuff as always. Thank you, man. Good luck to you.
You bet, Bella. Thanks for having me.
All right, don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060. Full-service title company servicing all of South Louisiana. Fast, friendly, professional services, which you get when you deal with their long-standing staff. Ashley Donald, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Marion Haynes, Natalie and Bradford Smith. Buying, building, refinancing, nobody chooses but you. Just Chad Reynolds at Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Wednesday Consensus Golf Picks are brought to you by Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown.
And return here at Mike Anderson's Wesley at Nicholson.
All right, Max, who are you looking at?
Well, I got to be honest, Jimmy. I fell so flat last week that I'm a little gun shy here this week. Very similar type of ask, similar golf course in that it is in the south. It is driver heavy. You've got to be able to hit the ball pretty far off the tee, ideally, even more so this week than last week. We've seen Rory win here 4 times, as Wes mentioned. I mean, he's a pretty long hitter of the ball, I'd say. So I kind of whiffed on some guys last week, but I'm going to kind of roll back with a similar idea and just one of the same player, actually 2 of the same players. We're going to start off with Ludwig Oberg. He's about 16.5 to 1 over at the Queen Bally's DraftKings Sportsbook. Oberg this is a form play. I get it. I understand. He struggles to close out tournaments. He has bad final rounds, especially. But the form says he is come top 5 in 4 of the last 5 tournaments. Now, the one was the Masters. He finished 21st. But nevertheless, he is playing really good golf on golf courses that don't necessarily suit his game, that aren't driver heavy, that ask him to hit wedges and whatnot rather than longer irons. And there was one third-place finish at the Arnold Palmer that at Bay Hill asked similar questions to this golf course, but others are the Players, the Heritage, Wedge Fest, put the ball in play, and he's good at finding fairways, but he's even better at hitting the ball far and straight. So I think Ludwig Oberg suits this golf course very well. He's only played this course once. It was at the PGA last year, and the PGA is a much different setup. It's a lot more difficult than what we'll see for the Truist, as it once was the Wells Fargo. So I do think this is a course he'll be able to make some birdies. Now, it's very firm right now, but we're expecting a lot of rain to come in tomorrow morning. They've already moved tee times around for the first and second rounds, so that is something to consider. But I think ball striking is going to be at a premium considering how dry the golf course is, and Oberg's form is just undeniable. So at 16.5 to 1, I'll take a shot with him. Another guy who I had last week who played very well in the final 3 rounds, not so much the first round. No, it wasn't Scotty Scheffler. It was Adam Scott, who hit the wrong ball on the first day, but ended up coming top 5 at Doral, and that was an impressive showing for him. His iron play is elite. He's the number 1 player in this field, probably on tour this year with his iron play. His approaches have been phenomenal, and the further out you get, the better it gets from there. He's long enough. I mentioned this last week. He's 45 years old, but he still hits the ball a far way. So if he gets a hot putter, he lost strokes putting last week. That's no surprise with Adam Scott, but if he gets a hot putter, I think he can absolutely win this week. He's going to be popular, but he's 35 to 1. And then a couple longer shots here. Jimmy, Charlie really called me out on this. You could call me stubborn for this, but his price has gotten a lot better since it was last week. Justin Rose is 75 to 1. Long enough hitter, and the one thing about him that I'll use to excuse his performance last week, yes, he was dreadful. He had the new irons. He went to the McLaren golf irons, and it didn't really work out for him. He finished 65th in a 72-player field. But this is kind of the way Rose plays. He's boom or bust. He's either going to be there in the mix or he kind of falls out. Just look at his track record here. He's got 3 top 5 finishes at Quail Hollow, but he's missed the cut 4 times. So he is a boom or bust golfer, and I'm going to just hope that last week was a bit of a farce. It was one bad week for him. His iron play going into that was really good. I know he switched irons, so maybe you take that with a grain of salt. But he's a long enough hitter. He plays well on long golf courses. He won earlier this year at the Farmers Insurance Open. Torrey Pines, another course that asks similar questions. So Justin Rose, now that his price is 75 to 1, I'm worth taking another swing with Rosie. And finally, Keegan Bradley, the former American Team USA Ryder Cup captain, maybe finally getting over the woes that are losing a Ryder Cup and being a terrible captain. He's starting to play a little better. He's got 2 top 25 finishes in his last 3 starts, including at the Masters. He hits the ball just far enough. And we saw last year at Quail Hollow, he finished 8th place. Again, that was the PGA, so a little bit of a different setup. But I think he's playing just good enough, and he kind of pops off randomly anyway. We saw a couple years ago when he won at the BMW, he had not really had a whole lot of form coming in and just outright won. So a guy who's won in the last 3 seasons. You know, you want winning equity. I know it's odd that I take Ludwig Oberg if I want winning equity, but Keegan Bradley's won each of the last 3 seasons, and maybe he adds another one to his arsenal. So my 4 this week, Oberg, Scott, Rose, and Bradley. I'll be paying a little bit more attention as well as a golf fan to the Myrtle Beach Classic. There are actually 2 events on the PGA Tour in the Carolinas. Brooks Koepka is playing at the Myrtle Beach Classic, so a chance for him to go into form. He did not qualify for this field, but that's a little bit more of a typical PGA Tour format where there's a cut, where there's a larger field. And this is kind of like running it back from last week. A lot of the same players. I know there's no Scotty this week. There's Rory instead. But nevertheless, I'm worried about Rory and Cam Young. It's a smaller field. We're used to playing this golf course, so I'll be just as tuned in to the Altfield event as this week at Quail Hollow.
So my problem with Rose last week, not with Justin Rose, it was, why are you changing clubs now? This guy was on the lead at the Masters a few weeks ago.
He's playing some of his best golf.
Yeah, if you're going to change clubs, to me, you do that in the silly season in the fall when you don't have these mega events, these majors coming. That was my only. I love Justin Rose.
It is interesting timing. I mean, the middle of the you already finished 1 major. You already went through the Masters. You got 3 coming up in the span of 3 months. It is interesting timing. I'd imagine it has something to do with McLaren just trying to get the best out of their timing because they just released their irons to the public, I think, this week. So they were just trying to
time to do it. Yeah, he's choosing the marketing, but over it. But it's also a group of guys. No matter how good, they're always tinkering with their swing. They're always trying to. I mean, it's an imperfect sport. So they're always striving for that. Changing swing coach.
Tiger did that.
Yes,
he blew the field away. I got to revamp my swing.
All of them did.
They changed their bag.
Yes.
Phil Mickelson won a major without a driver. I mean, it depends where you're playing. And this week they're going to be hitting a lot more long irons. There's going to be a lot more shots from 175 to 200, 225 yards. So they're going to practice those shots a lot more this week.
If he'd have left that driver in the bag at winged foot, he'd have another one.
So, but
He'd have a U.S.
You
Open.
said Keegan was horrible captain. He didn't play, did he? I thought it was pretty horrible performance by the players.
Look, ultimately,
the way I remember it.
When the world number one, Scotty Scheffler, really struggles at his matches, you're going to struggle. But the big thing that he made, he cut down all the rough. He decided that we're going to make this, bomber's paradise. You can hit the ball wherever you want, and that's not what Bethpage Black asks. And honestly, the USA would have been more suited for a golf course with thicker rough and tighter fairways, and he went away from that. That was his decision. He decided that was the way to go about it, and then there were some really awful pairings and stuff. We'll see if Jim Furyk does any better. Look, the U.S. is behind Europe in the Ryder Cup. They lose this a lot, but they rarely lose at home. They lost at home, and so he should be embarrassed by the way he captained. But like Jim Furyk is going to really struggle. They're going to be massive underdogs.
Bomber's Paradise at the truest. Why not Cameron Young? Just too short of a price. Bounce factor. Just rarely go back for guys if back-to-back back-to-back wins.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I really did consider him, and I rarely play guys coming off a win, especially the week later where they're just kind of have a chance to exhale. He's going to try to go into form really well into the PGA. Aronimik should be a course he has a chance at winning as well. But plus 950, the best price on Cam Young. Now he's under 10-1. It's getting a little less palatable to me. I just rarely go that far down the board. The one thing I will say, Jimmy, he won by 6 shots. He called a penalty on himself, and he also was really bad on par 5s, which is where he should be elite, right? He hits the ball very far. He did not score well on par 5s and still ace the field easily. So that's something where maybe if he fixes his par 5 scoring this week, he could run away with this again.
And he hit the right ball every time, right? You picked the guy that hit the wrong ball.
Let's hope that Adam Scott this week, I have money on him again. Let's hope he hits the correct golf ball this time.
Some of those bright yellow ones.
Can you tell us where to find the 63-hole leader on this menu? I'm trying to find
63-hole, third round lead.
Because when Ludwig, realizes he's on the lead on Sunday, at the turn.
You want to cut it off halfway?
Yeah. Have you watched this guy?
Yeah.
Have you watched him? We don't recommend cash outs because they rarely give you any type of a fair deal. But this one may be in order here. If he takes the lead, he's going to break out in hives or something. I mean,
I can give you end of round 2 leader. We have that.
No. We need.
He's plus 1850. That's actually better odds than him to win. So maybe that's the way to go. Plus 1850.
Consensus pick this week is a 63-hole leader, Ludwig Oberg, at plus 1650, which is available over at both of the Queen and Bally's on their menu. So we joke about 63, but he is. I'm sorry. I will always associate him with Easter Sunday. And, it was we had a great spread, but that was hard to digest, watching him just fall apart out of nowhere.
Over in Europe?
Out of nowhere.
His side of the
some
pond.
guys just are afraid to win.
Jimmy, you know what they call it in Europe? What he does? It's not choking. It's bottling it.
Volleying?
Bottle it. Like a water
bottling.
Bottle. You bottle it. So he's been bottling some third-round leads.
What would it take for you to cash out at the turn on Sunday if he had a one-stroke lead? He's 16.5 to 1 before the tournament. What's fair at that point?
4 to 1.
You take 4 to 1 at the
yeah, with that guy. Yeah, I don't want
anybody else to be 8, right?
But seriously, you better, and it is tricky business hedging in golf, okay? Especially with like 9 holes left. But you better be ready. Be ready for, because the guy's done it too many times. He's got all the ability in the world. He's the prodigy. He's the phenom. He was waiting for him to break through. And, that's not uncommon. Cam Young was like that forever. Scheffler was like that, but if he does break through, but until he does, no. Not for me, Charlie.
4-1. I'm holding you to it. Let's see if we can get the lead.
I'm not betting on him, so I'm not cashing out on 4-1.
All right.
So, no, I'm sorry.
Max is going to need
But
12.
our consensus bet is brought to you by our friends Dana Brown at the law offices of O.C. Brown, your law firm for a lifetime, 343-1111. He's going to deal with the, getting you another vehicle. He's going to deal with the insurance company. He's going to deal with the setting up the doctor's appointments, everything imaginable, paying these bills, paying these doctor bills. We don't have money to out of pocket on some of these things that are happening. So all of these things going to get you right, going to get you feeling right, and give you the proper care that you need, and get you what you are entitled to if you get into a bad accident. Call him up. There's never a charge for initial consultation. 343-1111 and ocbrown.com.
Live at Mike Anderson's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Yanni from Mike Anderson Seafood on Lee Drive on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU got their as needed, as expected win last night at the box, 13-6 against Tulane. Got out to a 9-0 lead, kind of put it on cruise control from there. The big takeaway in the game to me is Cade Arambidi. Everybody can see that he's hitting. He's got homers in 11 of his last 18 games and blasted one over the center field wall last night. But how much better he has gotten in the last few weeks behind the plate. This has been one of the biggest problems for LSU this year is their catchers in general, pass balls, wild pitches, etc. Well, he has come a long way in just a short period of time here. Not only have the pass balls and wild pitches gone down in the last 2 weeks, but he made two really nice plays last night. One throwing out a base runner and another one on a sliding catch near the fence. Nice job by Arambidi. He went 2 for 5 with a couple of ribbies. LSU easy last night, 13-6. Doesn't do anything for their RPI. They stay where they are, but it doesn't. It's not the big blow that it would have been had they lost that game. So last 6 games, it's against some heavyweights, Georgia and Florida. That's a couple of top 16 RPI teams, in Georgia on the lead with a chance, if things fell right for them, to clinch the SEC this weekend. So they'll be motivated at home, warm weather, a lot of offense. LSU on their way to Athens. Thanks to our friends here at Mike Anderson's for being our host today. Tomorrow we will be at Bally's, downtown Baton Rouge, the new casino and sports book here. Hope to have you with us for our Thursday show. For Max, for Jimmy, and for Jordan back in the studio, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. Stay tuned for Hunt Palmer, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.